BC, how are ya? Welcome back. This is Subtunes. I'm Mike. Um, Quick video today. I'm not going to be doing vinyl finds every week. I was doing them every week, and honestly, probably too much. So I'm going to just combine them every couple of weeks. Because I don't want to be a vinyl finds station. I don't want to be a vinyl finds channel. Although they're very popular, so I'm gonna keep doing them. But I just wanted to, do some other stuff, because I got a shitload of records there, and I got a lot of records there, and I got a bunch of records right over there. So I want to do other things, and to spur just conversation and stuff. So diversify is what I'm doing, I guess. So this video is going to be probably quick. It shouldn't be too big. I wanted to talk about one of my favorite bands, and that is the Grateful Dead. I love the Grateful Dead. I saw the Grateful Dead 50 times. The final show was Jerry's last show here in Chicago at Soldier Field. And I think we all kind of walked out of the place going, it's over. They were not on top of their game, and Jerry sounded terrible. He looked terrible. And as you guys know, within weeks he had passed away. So, love the Grateful Dead. They were a huge part of my life. I don't go and see a lot of the solo stuff as much as I probably should. I'm really enjoying. I have a bunch of bootlegs of the Dead and Company with John Mayer and Bob Weir, and Mickey and Billy are in the band. I really like what they're doing with Dead and Company. John Mayer, say what you will about him. I know he's a douchebag, but he's a hell of a guitarist, and he is really taken into the genre, and he's really taking it all in, and just he's very impressive. Very, very impressive. When they first announced that, I kind of scoffed, but he's an awesome guitarist. So hats off to John Mayer and Dead and Company. They're doing a terrific job. Probably the best incarnation of the post-Jerry bands that have come and gone, by far, I think. Just my opinion. So I was thinking, I was just going to do, I'm not ranking albums. I don't know, I'm kind of hesitant to rank albums because that's when you get all the comments of how can you forget this and how can you forget that. So I just let's just do an overview of the Grateful Dead's studio albums, from start to finish, not ranking them, sure, some of them I like better than others. They're not exactly known for their studio albums. Didn't really have any hits off of those studio albums. Some of them are poorly produced. Some are actually really well produced. We'll just go through what I have. I'm only going to do studio albums. I'm not going to touch any of the live albums I have. I have quite a few. I have a few of the Record Store Day box sets and reissues of the Europe 72s, which sound fantastic. If you guys, we're not talking about live albums, but the Europe 72s, those reissues that they did about 6 or 7 years ago are awesome. I think each one is like 3 or 4 discs, and they got stuff that wasn't on the albums, and so yeah, check those out. The Europe 72 stuff is probably my favorite records that they ever released. I still love them, and they sound great. So we're going to start at the beginning. We'll go through these. I'm going to show, we'll just go through it. This is the first album. Pretty trippy. Golden Road is on here. Beat It On Down the Line. Cover of Good Morning Little Schoolgirl, Cold Rain and Snow, Sitting on Top of the World, Morning Dew, Minglewood Blues, and Viola Lee Blues. And this is a reissue from a couple years ago. I had this originally on CD, probably. Um, it's it's Bob Weir, Pigpen. Yeah, they Bob Weir, Pigpen, Bill the drummer, Jerry Captain Trips, and Phil Lesh on their first album. And this has some stuff that would stick with them for decades. Cold Rain and Snow, they played on the final show. Morning Dew was a staple. Yeah, so stuff, they kept stuff from this era in their live repertoire for decades, a really long time. It's not a good recording. They play okay. I don't think a lot of albums from this time period really were recorded very well. I mean, engineers and producers were just starting to figure out how to record rock and roll, especially psych rock. So, yeah, is it a masterpiece? No. But, like I said, stuff from this album continued in their live repertoire for decades. Next up was Anthem of the Sun. Great cover. Again, kind of the same issues. Not the best recorded album. This was the Rhino reissue, I think. I believe it was Rhino. Yeah, this is where they added Tom Constantin, who was a terrific piano player. And this has the other one. Born Cross-Eyed is on here. New Potato Caboose, Alligator. So, very psychedelic. You have the other one, which is, obviously four parts. But again, a song like the other one stayed in their musical repertoire till the very end. I think that's the only album that Tom Constantin played on. He might be on this. This is Oxymoxia. Maybe he might not be. I don't know. Don't believe he is. No. Tom Constantin wrote a terrific book. I'm back, sorry. Tom Constantin wrote this book. It's called Between a Rock and a Hard Place. I highly recommend it. It's really, really good. He wasn't in the band long, but he gives some really good stories, and he's a great storyteller. I don't think he's with us anymore. I believe he's passed away. But yeah, check this out. Between Rock and Hard Places. Tom Constantin. Back to Oxymoxia. This is probably their first really solid album. Really solid. It's well recorded. It's well played. It's very psychedelic. Rumor has it Courtney Love is one of the children in the drawing. I've always heard that rumor. I don't know if that's true, and I don't know which one is her. But I have definitely heard that rumor for many, many years. This has St. Stephen, Dupree's Diamond Blues, Doing That Rag, China Cat Sunflower, Cosmic Charlie. Again, stuff that was a staple forever in their live concerts. Solid album. This is probably their first where I think it was kind of realized they were going to be a pretty big band for a while. And then came this. American Beauty. This is the Mo-Fi reissue of it. And it's got a terrific inner cover, which you didn't get with, because the regular, the original release is not a gatefold, obviously. This is the big one. This is the one that wasn't a hit. It wasn't a hit. But it was successful, and that's all they wanted to do at that point in their careers. All they really wanted to do was have a record be successful. Didn't have to be a hit. It didn't have to go to number one. It just enough to make some money and get back on the road and tour. And this definitely did it. This is a classic album. This is probably their best. Box of Rain, Friend of the Devil, Addicts of My Life, Broke Down Palace, Sugar Magnolia, Truckin', what did I miss? Candyman, oh, and Ripple. I mean, a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece. So then they'd follow it up. By the way, the MoFis, all the Grateful Dead MoFis, and you're going to see quite a few in the next few minutes. All of these are absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. So they would follow that up with another masterpiece. I actually prefer this over Sugar Magnolia. It's probably not a popular opinion. I like the darkness of it. It's a little darker. It's it too also has a really nice inner gatefold. Another masterpiece. Had they actually made, and they recorded these two pretty much back to back. I mean, probably a lot of stuff was just recorded at the same time. They could have made a double album, and it probably would have been the greatest double album ever. Sorry, White Album. But this is just a stone cold classic again. Uncle John's Band, Wharf Rat, New Speedway Boogie's on here. Oh my God, what else? It's just brilliant. Oh, High Time. Oh, God, I love that song. Dire Wolf, New Speedway Boogie, Cumberland Blues, Black Peter, Easy Wind, and probably what would be their first semi-hit would be Casey Jones. So they were on a roll in 71, 72, in that era. I don't think they would make, well, great albums. They would make some great albums to come to. So, next up, oh, I got these all out of order. I'm sorry. There we go. Next up is Wake of the Flood. This is the MoFi edition. It is not a gatefold, it's just a single disc. This is, I have mixed feelings about this. I think if, of all their albums that need to be remastered and remixed, it would be this. It lacks punch. And I think that was a complaint of a lot of their albums, is they lack punch. And that's what they had playing live, is they had that extra level that they would take it to. And they were never really able to reproduce that in the studio. Even as good as some of these albums are, they just couldn't reproduce that live vibe. And this is a really good example of that. I think the mix is it's all wonky. I especially side one. It has Mississippi Uptown, Sing Your Blues Away, Row Jimmy, and Stella Blue. All songs that they would play forever live in concert. I think the Mississippi half step sounds terrible. Side two should be one of the great sides of any album, let alone a Grateful Dead album. It's Here Comes Sunshine, Eyes of the World, and Weather Report. 3 rockin' frickin' songs, and I'm sorry, it comes off flat. It really, really does. And it's a shame, because there's some wonderful songs on this. Wonderful songs. And, to follow it up, obviously the songwriting is there, but to follow up, American Beauty and Working Man's Dead with this, it's a little bit of a letdown. So, but that's Wake of the Flood. I'm sure somebody's gonna give me shit about that. Next up, my favorite Grateful Dead album. This is Blues for Allah, the MoFi edition, and the spectacular artwork, absolutely spectacular artwork. This is a gatefold. This is on, all these are 45 RPMs. Get the Blues for Allah inner. Sorry, I'm putting these all away because these are some of my prized possessions. So I'm taking the time in this video instead of doing it all afterwards. This is my favorite. This is my favorite Grateful Dead album, and the MoFi is beyond spectacular. It's absolutely phenomenal. This is actually a test pressing of Blues for Allah. There's no number, so it's a super early, obviously super early copy. Franklin's Tower, Help on the Way, Slipknot, Music Never Stopped, Crazy Fingers. Gorgeous. This is probably their jazziest album. You can really hear the jazz influence, especially on Phil Lesh's bass playing. Phil Lesh comes into his own on this album. He's just probably, I think he's probably the best bass player to come out of the Hate era of, 70s, late 70s. Paul Cantor of Airplane is great too, but I think Phil Lesh is top notch. You cannot go wrong with Phil Lesh's bass playing. Just isolate him in your mind when you're listening, and you will be absolutely blown away at what he's doing. So yeah, Blues for Allah. If you're a Deadhead and you don't have this on MoFi, it's worth whatever you pay. It's absolutely stunning. I also have I have these MoFis, but I also have like the originals too. So I mean, like, here's an original. I don't know why I pulled that out. Next up, I forget if this came first or if Terrapin came first. We'll do this next because it's in my hand. This is the MoFi of Mars Hotel. It is another stunning MoFi. Really, I mean, the sound on this is, and I don't have the best stereo system. Don't act like, don't think I have like this stereo system that is just like top-notch high quality. I don't. But some of these MoFis, especially these Dead ones, are worth every penny you find. If you have to buy them on the secondary market, I highly recommend doing it. I know Blues for Allah is out of print. They made 4,000 of them, and they just released 500 of them a couple weeks ago, and they're sold out. They're gone, and they're not printing anymore. I'm not sure about the. I'm not sure. Well, Wake of the Flood is gone. That I don't believe they're doing anymore though. And then the other two, American Beauty and Working Man's Dead. I'm not sure. My guess is those are still in print, so you should be able to get them. This, I believe, is also still in print. So don't go and buy. Don't spend crazy amount of money on them. They will come back. It's going to be a while, and you got to be really quick because these things, like I said, that Blues for Allah was gone in 5 minutes, and they're not making a lot of them. So, yep, this is from the Mars Hotel. Spectacular album, one of my favorite. This is probably up there. It's probably my second favorite Grateful Dead, next to Blues for Allah. This is Scarlet Begonias, Ship of Fools, China Doll, U.S. Blues. Loose Lucy's on here, Unbroken Chain, the Phil masterpiece. Great album, recorded superbly, absolutely superbly, and MoFi did a terrific job with this. And I mean, you can get this just as, you can get this and for $25, and it sounds excellent too. So don't feel you have to get the Mo-Fi, but this is one I absolutely adore. Then we come to Terrapin Station. This is their, this would be their prog album. What is this, 77, 78? I would say this is the proggiest they get. It's a cool album. It's got some good stuff. It's got, once again, stuff that would stay with them live. This is a white label promo. Had this for quite, you can't see me. White label promo. Once again, this is what their live shows would become in the mid to late 70s and into the 80s. This is Samson and Delilah, Terrapin Station. Estimated Profit is on here. Yeah, this is fantastic. Again, though, it's one of those albums, it lacks a little punch. But I'd love to see a Mo-Fi of this. I don't think there is a Mo-Fi of Terrapin. But it also lacks a little punch, which, again, as I said earlier, a lot of the Grateful Dead albums do. But I don't think you can go wrong with this. And you can get copies of this. They're out there. They're not super expensive or anything. So Terrapin Station was next up. Next is the Grateful Dead Go Disco. This is Shakedown Street. The iconic cover. It's a pretty cool cover. Obviously, this says Shakedown Street. They do a cover of Good Lovin'. I Need a Miracle is on here. Fire on the Mountain. Stagger Lee, Minglewood Blues. This also has, this has the Donna Gaucho, France, song France, which I always kind of liked. You get to get the debut of the Shakedown guy. Not their best album. I don't know. I used to have this on CD. This is I don't think this is a reissue, but it's not my original copy. So yeah, Shakedown Street. Obviously, Shakedown Street would become a classic live jam for them. Looking at 20-minute long Shakedown Streets on some nights. This is an album that debuted new keyboardist Brent Midland. I adored Brent Midland. I loved his the sound he got on his piano and his organ. He was very organ heavy compared to Keith Gaucho and Tom Constantin. Kind of brought back a little bit more of the Pigpen sound with just more of the bluesy organ. This is Go to Heaven. This also does not have a Mo-Fi release. I wouldn't mind hearing one, but it's 1980. It doesn't have the giant 80s production, thankfully, but it's got some great songs. It says Alabama Getaway, Far From Me, Easy to Love You, the two Brent Midland songs. Easy to Love You is one of my favorite Grateful Dead songs. I adore that song. And this album also has, might be my favorite live Grateful Dead song. I'm going to go out on a limb, but Althea is on this album, and I love that song. And every time they played it, I just went crazy. I absolutely love the song Althea. And it's also got a Lost Sailor, Saint of Circumstance, which was another live classic. Feel Like a Stranger was on here. I don't like the studio version. Don't Ease Me In, they do a cover of Don't Ease Me In on here. Is this album gonna knock anyone's socks off? No, but I play it a lot because I really like some of the music on here. It's refreshing. It has a nice fresh sound for them. They had kind of given up the long jams of Terrapin and Blues for Allah, and this is more straightforward rock and roll, really. So Go to Heaven. Grateful Dead. We got two more left, and then we're out of here. Then they had a hit, and everything changed. The 80s got weird. Yeah, they became a major, massive business. A touring machine. And this album helped do it. This is In the Dark. This is the Mo-Fi. This is not a 45 RPM. This is just 33. Obviously, Touch of Grey was a hit. It was a huge hit. Top 10, probably? Hell in a Bucket. Push Comes to Shove. The great West LA Fadeaway. Probably one of my favorite songs on this album. Tons of Steel, Throwing Stones, and Black Muddy River. It's a real short album. I never listened to it. I don't know. You know, take it for what it is. It's a hit. Another one of those albums that kind of just lackluster. I don't know. The live versions of all these songs. I mean, the live version of West LA Fadeaway is awesome. Just awesome. So, that is In the Dark. And the final album that they would make shortly after In the Dark, Brent Midland would pass away from a heroin overdose. Vince Welnick. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Brent is on this album. I'm sorry, Brent. Shortly after this album, Brent Midland would pass away from a heroin overdose, and Vince Welnick from the Tubes would take over on keyboards. Not my favorite Grateful Dead keyboardist. Didn't like his background vocals. Didn't really like his puffy style. So thankfully they did not make an album together, although they were getting pretty close to making one, and it probably would have been awful. But this is Built to Last. This is their final album with Brent Midland. This is the Friday Music Records release. It's, I don't know, Foolish Heart, a little light. Victim of the Crime. Victim of the Crime was a song that I really liked live. It was impressive live. Standing on the Moon is really pretty. It's a really pretty song. The Brent Midland song Blow Away was always a fan favorite when he played it live. Picasso Moon is a Bob Weir song that's garbage. Built to Last is a Jerry song that's kind of like meh. And I Will Take You Home, which is a beautiful Brent Midland song. Brent gets 3 songs on this album. So he was definitely at a creative peak when he passed away, which is devastating, absolutely devastating. This was a pretty decent tour. I saw them quite a bit on this tour. And then, you know, with Brent passing away, was kind of an end of an era. So, that's that. That's the Grateful Dead studio albums and my thoughts and comments on them. They would go on after Brent passed away. Like I said, Vince Welnick from the Tubes joined the band. After a very quick audition, they missed very little time. They had Bruce Hornsby sit in with them for a while, and then they hired Vince Welnick, and the two of them actually played together for, I think, almost a year. And that was interesting. There was some really cool stuff there. There was a short stint in the spring, I believe, where Hornsby was alone just on grand piano, and I thought those were some of the best shows the Grateful Dead ever played. The energy that Hornsby brought to the stage was infectious, and his playing. I'm not a huge Bruce Hornsby fan. I have a couple of his albums, but they don't do anything for me, but he is a spectacular piano player, and he added a nice touch to the band for that short period of time. And then they would go on with Vince Welnick until Jerry's passing, and then Vince Welnick would actually pass away a few years later. So sad, but what a legacy, an absolute legacy. I wish I could do a video on maybe some of the live stuff, but let me think about it. I don't have a ton that's really worth. We'll see. Let me think about it. But yeah, that's it. That is my take on the Grateful Dead studio discography. Again, check out this book. If you're a Deadhead, I highly recommend this book by Tom Constantin. Really, really cool stuff. So that's about it. You guys, let's have a discussion. If you disagree with me, you agree with me, whatever. Reach out, comments, questions, snide remarks. You know where they go. Have a good one. Talk to you soon.